Welcome back, my fellow Spartans, to the Triple S Variety channel. I'm your host, Triple S, and in this video, I'll be breaking down and reviewing the first and second episodes of the second season of the Halo TV show titled Sanctuary and Sword. Now let's begin. Point number 1, wow, they really speed through the whole Master Chief is dead and Cortana has taken over his body thing from the end of season 1 by having Cortana say, "Sever the connection." It's just that easy, huh? Point number 2, I approve of the name of this operation considering my last name is Shepard. Point number 3, I get Spartan 2s can run fast as hell, but wouldn't it be less tiring to use a Warthog or a Falcon to get from place to place? Point number 4, I don't know why Kai refers to what she's seeing up at the relay station as a flicker when it's very obviously muzzle flashes from a gunfight. Point number 5, this captain saying he's allowed to use whatever force necessary to protect the villagers reminds me of K2SO in Rogue One.
Congratulations, you are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Point number 6, and here we get to see Chief use the grapple hook from Halo Infinite in this show for the first time. Neil deGrasse Tyson's probably going to still have a problem with it though. I hope he keeps using it throughout the show and doesn't forget he has it, especially if he finds himself in a position where it would be a good idea to use it. Point number 7, just like I said in my breakdown of the Fight as One trailer, I have zero idea why this elite just throws away his energy sword. Even going frame by frame, I just cannot figure out what made him let go of it. Point number 8, so throughout my breakdowns of the trailers for this season, I wasn't sure out of all the elites we saw which was the Arbiter that had been confirmed to be introduced in this season, though I was leaning more towards shots of an elite wearing silver ornate looking armor. Though it turns out the people who instead believed it was this elite that we got the clearest shot of from the Weenie Master Chief trailer might actually be correct. In an article from SFX magazine issue 375, it was revealed Chief will be spared by the Arbiter in the first episode, and this elite, who John later goes on to say he recognised as being the leader, spares Chief's life. So I'll take the L on guessing which elite was the Arbiter, but I will take the W that I guessed there would be stealth elites. It's just I said the Arbiter was the one who I thought was a stealth elite. If only I'd swapped them around, I would have had 2 Ws. Point number 9, oh, so it was Perez who Chief was carrying on his shoulder in the trailers, and I was right that the people reflected in Chief's visor were these red-robed people, though I thought the mother here would have played a bigger role considering she appears to be decked out with foreigner glyphs. Maybe she'll have somehow survived the glassing and come back in a later episode or something? I don't know. Point number 10, the mother tells Chief she's seen his death, and I'm just here thinking, oh great, Chief's going to die again? Is it going to be another fake out? Or was his death she saw the one from the end of season 1 and she's just a little late in telling him she saw it? Point number 11, though there was some Halo style chanting in the original opening in season 1, this time around we've got full on Halo music. It's like I'm in the main menu of a Halo game. Plus, rather than showing the useless AI port on the back of his head and then posing for the camera, this new opening now flies towards his eye as his visor is forming and then shows us the namesake of the franchise, an actual Halo ring. Neat. Point number 12, oh, Chief's naked again, though this time we don't see his butt, so people are going to have to come up with something different to call him instead of Master Cheeks. Maybe Shower Chief? Point number 13, so season 2 seems to be going with the angle that during season 1, humanity and the Covenant were at war, but it wasn't a full-on extermination effort by the Covenant, like they'd fight if they ever bumped into each other, but the Covenant wasn't actively searching out human planets to glass. Point number 14, I'm sure everyone who hated the Quan Ha storyline in the first season screamed with delight when Keyes revealed Magical had been glassed, so I hate to burst your bubble when I tell you, just because the planet's been glassed doesn't mean you can't return to it. In Shadows of Reach, the prequel novel to Halo Infinite, Blue Team actually returns to Reach to retrieve the Halsey clone brains from Castle Base, which she had frozen back when she made Cortana so that she can use them to create the weapon. And it was Reach where Aatrox returned to the galaxy from the Ark when banished forces led by Escharum and the Keepers of the One True Freedom led by Castor excavated a foreigner slit space portal which connected to the Ark. Also, don't forget in season 1 it was mentioned that beneath Madrigal there is some sort of foreigner portal, which many speculate might be how we end up getting to a Halo ring, and in the trailers and at the end of the Halo Declassified video for the first episode of this season, we see Halsey and Quan Ha walking down a very foreigner looking corridor which could take place on Madrigal. Point number 15, Keyes also mentions the planets Estuary and Fumarole, and the 15th silver debrief titled Sanctuary on the Halo Waypoint website goes into more detail on these planets in the Core Connections section. Estuary made an appearance in Halo 2 Anniversary's terminals, Terminal 3 Oni File Particular Justice, as one of the 7 planets that was glassed by Thelfadami during his campaign against humanity as Supreme Commander of the Fleet of Particular Justice. Fumarole will no doubt be more familiar as it was the setting for the still jaw-dropping Halo Reach live-action trailer deliver hope. Noble Team 40 in April 2552 with the objective of destroying a Covenant battlecruiser, Sanctity of Purification, by detonating a Fury tactical nuclear weapon from inside the ship. When Cat B320 is critically injured by a Banshee, Tom A293, the original Noble 6 on the team, takes the bomb and uses his jetpack to get it to the finish line, sacrificing himself in the process. Side note, I find it funny they describe Tom delivering the bomb to the Covenant ship as him getting it to the finish line, since Cat does run with it throughout the trailer as if it's an American football, or as a rugby ball, as us Brits would call it. Point at number 16, sounds weird to me to hear people refer to Oni as the ONI. Does it sound weird to anyone else? Point at number 17, so the Halo Declassified video for the second episode of this season revealed the helmet Kessler wears isn't actually Soren's old helmet as I thought it was, but instead something Kessler made himself from a UNSC pilot's helmet, the lid of a toolbox, and some snowboarding goggles. Point number 18, some heavy propagandizing going on with this sham ceremony for Talia, editing in a big ass statue, a lot more people, and a whole bunch of pelicans / condors. Looks like they messed up a bit though, since all the ships on the right here have the same number 325. Point number 19, watching the declassified videos and hearing people describe Ackerson as a manipulator, and then watching him in this episode and the next with how he interacts with everyone, he gives off serious Littlefinger from Game of Thrones vibes, you know, before the show turned to crap. Point number 20, if Silver Timeline Parangosky had the same power, influence, and secret knowledge that Blue Timeline Parangosky had, then her being made to take the fall for Halsey escaping and then becoming a, as she says, regular Joe, is the most impossible change the Silver Timeline has made from the Blue Timeline. Point at number 21, a bit of a nitpick, but did anyone else notice the inconsistency of the position of the torch, yes, torch, I'm British, in Soren's hand, and whether it was on or not between cuts? Point at number 22, Soren, did you honestly not expect in the slightest that this could have been some sort of trap? Seriously? Point at number 23, is this show trying to gaslight us into thinking the new design for Cortana this season is meant to have always been her design, since the visual parameters Chief has applied to this Blade Runner-esque virtual companion, played by Jessica Chisnell, looks closer to the Cortana design of this season than it does to the Cortana design of last season. I wonder what people think of the change in design for Cortana. In the first season, her face was CGI and she had a human skin colour, but now she's played by Christina Bennington and is completely blue just like in the games, except for when she's green or purple. Point at number 24, what is Quan Ha referring to when talking about this monster? I've seen most people suspecting it's the Flood in general, or the Gravemind, or the Primordial from the Foreigner book trilogy specifically. Could this be something she's learned from whatever monitor is underground on Madrigal, you know, the one she saw in her Avatar The Last Airbender Vision quest in episode 7 of the first season? Or could this just be something as simple as she's just talking about death, considering Kessler's come running to her upset after his dad didn't return and she asks him if he believes her now? Point at number 25, why didn't the writers have Halsey receive a chess set instead of backgammon? You know, considering chess is a kind of significant part of her life, and Cortana's by extension.
When the game is over, the king and the pawn go back into the same box.
Were the first words spoken by both timeline Cortanas, though Blue Timeline Cortana said it in Italian. And this comes from Halsey's mother, who said this to Halsey after their first ever game of chess together, the first and last time Halsey's mother ever won. Point number 26, so on this status board thing, we see listed the teams Cobalt, Gold, Omega, Silver, Sigma, Jade, Black, Grey, and Green. The 16th Silver debrief titled Sword on the Halo Waypoint website goes into the teams Black and Omega. Black team composed of Margaret 053, Romo 143, Otto 031, and Victor 101 made their debut in the Halo Evolutions anthology novel, specifically in the story Blunt Instruments, where they were sent to take out a station that would prevent Helium-3 from being supplied to the Covenant ships blockading the colony tribute. They were also the primary focus of the comic series Halo Bloodline, and later appeared in Halo Escalation's The Next 72 Hours arc, where they met their end at the hands of the Foreigner commander known as the Didact. Omega team, composed of August 099, Leon 011, and Robert 025, was first introduced to us in the beloved announcement teaser for Halo Wars back in 2006, where a group of Spartans appear at the end with the line, "This is Spartan Group Omega, if they want war, we'll give them war." Omega will go on to appear briefly during the campaign of Halo Wars, when the UNSC Spirit of Fire helps evacuate civilians on the colony world of Arcadia, and they were also hero units that could be deployed in Halo Wars 2's multiplayer. Most recently, Omega team appeared in our latest Waypoint Chronicle, Halo Hippocratica. Cobalt team is listed on the board. I can't make out their names, but I have found a post post on the r/Halo subreddit from the user dillpickle6194, who lists the 4th member of Cobalt Team as Lee008. I also can't make out the names of Gold Team, but they appear to have 6 members. In the Blue timeline, Gold Team first appeared in the novel Silent Storm, and during Operation Silent Storm had 4 members: Joshua 029, Daisy 023, Naomi 010, and Grace 093. And again, dillpickle6194's post lists the members of Gold Team in the Silver timeline as Nora 075, Nicholas 064, Oliver 113, Claude 148, Peter 133, and Ruth 147. If accurate, all the names and almost all the service numbers are exclusive to the show. Nora 075, however, shares the same number as Cassandra 075, who first appeared in the Halo 2 Limited Collector's Edition booklet, Conversations from the Universe. And also speaking of Nora, in the 3rd episode of the 1st season Emergence, Chief mentions having lost Nora 098 on the planet Mamor. If dillpickle6194 is correct that one of the names on the board is Nora 075, that either means there were 2 Noras quote-unquote conscripted into the Spartan 2 program, or that the people making this show messed up. The members of Sigma Team, Jacob 027, Charles 124, and Alma 005, are exclusive to the Silver timeline, though Alma does share the same service number as James 005, who first appeared in the novel The Fall of Reach. Isaac 039 and Vin 030 exist in the Blue timeline and both made their first appearance in the novel First Strike, with Vin also going on to appear in the comic book adaptation of the novel The Fall of Reach. Going back to Alma 005 and James 005, we actually see sleeping next to John at the beginning of the 2nd episode of the 1st season Unbound, Spartan 005. However, this Spartan appears to be male, and Alma is typically a female name. Think of Alma Wade from the Fear games. Was this guy meant to be James 005, or has Alma become a gender-neutral name in the 26th century, or did the people making this show, just like with Nora, mess up? Jade Team is exclusive to the Silver timeline, but its members, Joshua 029 and Malcolm 059, are not. Joshua made his first appearance in the novel The Fall of Reach, and Malcolm first appeared in the novel First Strike. Both appeared in the novel Silent Storm, where Joshua was the leader of Gold Team and Malcolm was a member of Green Team. Grey Team, composed of Jai 006, Adriana 111, and Michael 120, though the board in the TV show lists him as Mike, first appeared in the Blue timeline in the novel The Cole Protocol. The novel, which seems to have heavily influenced the writers of the 1st season of this show, since Madrigal and the Rubble first appeared in it and introduced the character of Reth, though in the novel he's a jackal, not a human. One member of Green Team I haven't been able to figure out, and neither has dillpickle6194 it seems, since their name when it's been on screen has either been out of focus or blocked. The other member, however, Anton044, is from the Blue timeline as part of Green Team during Operation Silent Storm, and first appeared in the novel First Strike, and then also went on to appear in the novel Silent Storm. In the Blue timeline, the other known members of Green Team were Kurt 051, Solomon 069, nice, and Malcolm 059. Since Malcolm has already been shown to be a part of Jade Team in this show, this mystery second member of Green Team is either Kurt or Solomon or someone new. Point number 27, before we move away from the board, did anyone else notice that in the 1st episode, the layout of the board on the left is laid out correctly, with the names of the teams, then the members, and so on? But then, in this episode, when the guy is changing stuff around, the layout has been changed, with the members listed first, and then the names of the teams. I can only assume this has been done so that the name of Cobalt Team will be in frame with this guy changing their status without it being a wider shot to fit in all of the board. Point number 28, just like in Casino Royale and Die Hard 4, my favourite kind of henchman is a parkouring henchman. Point number 29, I can understand Soren buying Quan Ha when she escaped Madrigal being glassed and arrived back on the Rubble, but did he seriously have her tagged as well? He didn't stop that from happening, or at the very least free her after and had it removed. Soren really is a very bad man. This season's really making him into more of an arsehole. Point number 30, I called it. Throughout his appearances in the trailers, I kept wondering if Lewis 036 here might be a Spartan, and I got it right. Then again, I did throw a pretty wide net, also wondering if he might just be Riz's friend, or boyfriend, or family member. Whatever, I'm still taking the W. Point number 31, I'm sorry, but these jumps Riz is doing makes me think of Hulk jumping in the 2003 Hulk movie. You know, the bad one. Point number 32, something that stood out to me is that in the Fighters 1 trailer, these shots of Chief and Kai has Chief saying,
I know this enemy. It's here. I saw it.
But in this episode, he doesn't say that at all. Instead, he says,
Something you want to say?
Point number 33, Ackerson's conversation with Kai about not Master Chief but John the Man shows Season 2 is making it very clear early on that all along, the biggest part of Master Chief's story in this show is the contrast between Master Chief the emotionless killing machine and John the emotional human man. In the SFX magazine article I mentioned previously, Pablo Schreiber said, people who don't feel the helmet was necessary to come off, they're at such an early conception of what the show could be. In order to examine the discrepancy between these two versions of the character, you can't tell that story without taking the helmet off. If you don't agree with the helmet coming off in the show, you don't like our show, so there's no point discussing it. It would be like if people got upset when the Hulk would change back into Bruce Banner, saying the rage-filled smashing machine Hulk is the character everyone loves, so he should just never change back into the boring normal human Bruce Banner. No one cares about the conflict between these two personalities and how they could ever coexist with each other, we just want Big Green Man to go smashy smashy. Point number 34, so it appears the show hasn't completely abandoned the mysticism that was introduced in the first season with the desert people Quan Ha goes to who have her go on a vision quest, as it appears this guy helps Riz with her pain just by touching her, like he's absorbing and removing her pain somehow. Point number 35, we get another instance of Talia tapping out a double beat, something we also saw her doing in the trailers. This could either be a PTSD response to what happened to her on Sanctuary, or it could be related to what she later tells John she heard in The Interference. Point number 36, I like to think Spartan Attack is a twin-stick shooter game similar to Spartan Assault and Spartan Strike. Point number 37, with no regular civilians recognizing John, and Ackerson previously saying when it comes down to it Master Chief is just a guy in a suit, the actual faces of the Spartans have presumably never been pushed in propaganda, only them suited up in their Majolna armor. The regular people of the show's world are just like the people of our IRL world. They only know Master Chief by his armor because his face has never been revealed to the wider population. Point number 38. Okay, so all the women played by Bronte Carmichael, who fans of Star Wars will recognise as having played Leader Mothma in the TV series Andor, were clones. I'm going to assume human cloning hasn't recently become legal. Ackerson's probably just been having the girl cloned in secret. It is interesting as well that the clones only ever die when Halsey questions them about Ackerson. Either it's some sort of built-in genetic kill switch, or Halsey's only been able to question the girls about Ackerson when they were already close to death. Point number 39, when Ackerson said he wanted to introduce Halsey to someone, I thought he was going to reveal Soren, since in the Fighters 1 trailer, we see what appears to be Halsey and Soren coming face to face with each other in this very same room. Also, because of those shots from the trailer, I believe it was most likely Ackerson who laid the trap for Soren to capture him. Point number 40, so this explains why Cortana was confined inside of a glass box in the shots we saw of her in the Weedy Master Chief trailer. It most likely confines her from appearing outside of it like she was able to do in Season 1. Point number 41, my best guess is that Ackerson had tasked Cortana with simulating the possibility of the Covenant invading Reach. Either that or something more personal for him, maybe his own death, considering Cortana says he won't be able to see her again based on her simulations, or the death of the old man sat on a bed we've seen in some of the Season 2 trailers and who we see Ackerson talking to in this picture from Ackerson's actor Joseph Morgan's Instagram. Point number 42, Meridian name drop. Halo fans will know of Meridian from Halo 5 Guardians, you know, the bad one, the place where Cortana told Blue Team to go so they could enter a Guardian so she could bring them to Genesis, with Osiris Team trying and failing to stop them along the way. Point number 43, and a Visegrad name drop. Halo fans will know of Visegrad from Halo Reach, you know, the very good one, the place where Noble Team first encountered the Covenant on Reach, initiating the Winter Contingency Protocol. Point number 44, Chief saying to his team,
The Covenant's on Reach.
Is similar to when Carter A259 tells Colonel Holland,
The Covenant are on Reach.
At the end of the second Halo Reach mission, Winter Contingency. Point number 45, this Marine, played by Jack Nevels, must have been inspired by the Battle of Winterfell in Season 8 of Game of Thrones, since he sends his men into the darkness to die, just like how the Dothraki and others charged into the darkness to be slaughtered by whites. At least they had some form of light though. Where are these Marines' torches? Is this the original Doom 3, where you can only have a gun or a torch in your hand, not both? Someone get these Marines some duct tape. Point number 46, yep, McKee is in fact alive again. Chief seeing her on Sanctuary wasn't a hallucination. I wonder if they'll explain how she survived being shot at the end of Season 1, but considering how they fast-tracked through John being brought back to life at the start of this season, I doubt they will. Saying that though, it isn't impossible that she could have survived. People IRL have survived from much worse injuries, and who knows what kind of medical knowledge and tech the Covenant have in the Silver Timeline. Point number 47, my breakdown and review of the episodes may be done, but I just want to take a look at the preview of things to come this season from the end of the Halo Declassified video for Episode 1. Halsey and Cortana will meet again, and it appears Cortana is now stored on a device of some sort, though not a data chip that Master Chief could plug into the back of his helmet. We see a bare-chested elite, most likely the Arbiter, so nudity isn't just exclusive to humans this season. We then have Cortana speaking what sounds like a Covenant language, but I've got no idea what she's saying. We get a series of shots that we've already seen in several trailers, and I've already spoken about in my breakdowns of them, but then we get some dialogue we haven't yet heard between Ackerson and Keyes. They're standing in a room with some covered dead bodies, which I think may be the corpses of Cobalt Team, as there are 4 bodies. So this scene most likely takes place after Silver Team has discovered Cobalt Team dead at the claws and plasma of the Covenant at Visegrad, but before the actual invasion has begun. Soren says something here that I just cannot make out at all. Do any of you guys know what he's saying? We then see a suited up Kai stopping an unsuited John with an angry look on her face. Quan, Har and Halsey walking down a foreigner looking corridor, as I mentioned before. Our first look at Miranda for this season, and then John beating the crap out of a bunch of soldiers. Very interestingly, we then see that Talia Perez will be joining the ranks of Ackerson's Spartan 3s as we see her decked out in spy armor, and maybe one of the Spartan 3s joining a bunch of others, and possibly Kai, in flying through space to board a Covenant Corvette. We see John choking out Ackerson and throwing him to the ground, which is going to be a great moment to watch. It's probably what leads to him being arrested and him fighting off these soldiers I mentioned before. And then the last shot is of Master Chief's helmet as he holds it at his side, just like in the Halo Infinite teaser trailer from 2018 and from episodes 4 and 6 of the first season of this show. The main thing about the last shot, however, is it's showing Chief on a Halo ring. You can see it rising up into the sky in the distance. How did it get there? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm willing to bet Quan and Halsey get whatever portal there is on Magical working, and that's how. Point number 48, the end of the Halo Declassified video for episode 2 shows us a preview of what's coming up next in episode 3 specifically. Silver Team hears a signal that none of them recognizes except for John, which is most likely the same thing Talia heard on Sanctuary as she appears to be running a program to clean it up. We then see Silver Team moving towards a door that doesn't seem to be the same one Makee ordered the Arbiter to rip off, considering this one is intact and there isn't a blue glow coming from behind it, but it appears to be just normal lighting. It appears John might actually be incorrect on where Cobalt Team was sent, and him and his team find nothing at Visegrad's relay station, and Key saying Chief had the delusion is because Chief told him he saw Makee on Sanctuary during a conversation between the two on what Silver Team was doing going into the relay, and why Chief assaulted Marines who stood in his way. This could then explain why in episode 4 titled Reach, which appears to cover the Covenant's actual attack on the planet, Silver Team aren't able to access their armor. Along with the attack being a surprise attack, it could be that because of what Chief and Silver Team did at Visegrad, they've been taken off duty, which could then have been an elaborate plan of Ackerson's all along to discredit Silver Team and all the Spartan 2s to then push his replacement for them, the Spartan 3s. To round all this off, my most disliked part of the first episode goes to Soren being such an idiot to not suspect he was being led into a trap and planning for that accordingly. My most liked part of the first episode goes to seeing other Spartans and the banter between them all, very sibling rivalry-esque insults. My most disliked part of the second episode goes to the Marine guy in command being an idiot and just sending his men into unknown danger in the pitch black, just serving them up to be slaughtered. And my most liked part of the second episode goes to the return of Makee. I know a lot of people don't like her character, they think she doesn't make sense, but I find her a fascinating character exactly for that reason of her living with a race of aliens that wants to wipe out her entire race, but are treating her like royalty to get to cooperate, when in actuality they hate her as well. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Triple S Variety channel. Why not leave a comment below pointing out anything I missed but you noticed? I would love to hear from you all. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.